working with the State Department and the interagency to make sure that we do that. And we are expecting that in the year that we'll have both standards and a certification regime in place. We've already talked a little bit, actually, Mark talked a little bit about the Montreux documents, which is very important. From very early on, the United States recognized that regulating our own PSCs, and admittedly, we still have some problems with actually implementing the regulation. Okay? But regulating our own PSCs isn't going to be enough. We're not the only employers of PSCs. Some instances say that even in the contingency areas that we're operating in, we only have control over about 25% of them. Other governments, international organizations, non-governmental organizations, corporations, even private individuals are all contracting for private security services within the same contingency area. Misconduct on the part of any of these PSCs will be imputed to all PSCs and to their clients, which will undermine any possibility we have of reestablishing security and rule of law upon which any contingency operation depends. So therefore, we actively engaged in the Montreux document and support, which was, as I said, endorsed initially by 17 states, and then in 2008, now up to 35, and more are expected. The document itself was only the beginning. And that's why we're here to talk about the next step, which was the International Code of Conduct for Private Security Services Providers. In a way, this document is the endorsement, when it's endorsed, November 9th, hopefully by everybody. Okay. Hopefully by everybody, Mark? Everybody? All IPOA members of this?
We're working on it.
Okay. This is actually the industry's endorsement of the Montreux document. The industry was part of the formulation of the Montreux document, but the document itself, as the long title states, was for states. The industry did not even have the opportunity to endorse it. This is the industry's commitment to the Montreux document process and its principles. The document itself is only the beginning of a larger process towards regulation. As the document itself states, and as the Swiss government's website on the Montreux document also states, the next step is this code of conduct. In this code, the signatory companies commit to work to develop international standards and a governance body for those standards. We believe, going back to what I told you before about House Resolution 5136, we believe that the process that we have to engage in right now under U.S. law to develop industry standards and third-party certification can serve as a very valuable baseline for this international effort. And for this reason, we've engaged other countries, other governments right now to assist us with the process, and other governments have in turn come to us. We're reaching out as we develop this American national standard using the model of the American National Standards Institute. Let's try that this next slide here. Good. Please don't try to read that, it'll change. That we're trying to engage other standard-setting organizations. For example, the British Standards Institute, the French Association for Normalization, which is AFNOR, the South African Bureau of Standards, and more recently, the Standards Australia has even contacted us and asked to be part of the process. With these other national standard-setting bodies, then we think it will be easier to move on from a national standard to an international standard. Governance and enforcement of policies, regulations, and standards, and even third-party certification is not enough. It's been opined by many legal scholars that there is, in fact, no legal loopholes regarding private security companies operating in any contingency area. There's lots of laws out there. The problem is enforcing the laws. And we ourselves, in the United States, have had unfortunate experiences in this, not being able to do that in a very good fashion. So any association, any governance body associated with this code of conduct has to include things like a governance model, an enforcement model. The role, the way this enforcement model is going to operate, or what it's going to look like, still needs to be determined. But it needs to include such things as incident reporting, some form of arbitration, and outreach to clients and states to assist them in developing their own regulations and oversights of private security companies. As the U.S. government works to apply its very difficult lessons learned in oversight and enforcement, it will work with other states to develop cooperative strategies hold PSCs and their clients accountable to the law. That one just shows how we think that the one will fit into the other. And next one is a little bit more simplified. I don't want you to look at any one slide for too long because you might think that that's actually what's going to happen. For example, I got an update this morning from ANSI saying, hey, we like that flow chart, but it needs to be just a little bit more complex. So what I did instead was I tried to make one a little bit more simple. The Department of Defense, and each one of these blocks, by the way, is major muscle movers. You know, I mean, that's a very, very simplified thing. For example, third-party certification, one block. Okay, wow. All right, lots of subcomponents to that one. The Department of Defense believes that the effective regulation of the international private security industry is essential to meet the goal of restoring effective governance and rule of law in failed and fragile states. The United States also believes that this essential regulation is possible within existing international law and the national laws that apply to all commercial operations. We believe that it is both achievable and desirable to use the legal obligations and good practices described in the Montreux document to build a framework for such regulation using industry standards, certifications, and national legislation that enforces compliance with these standards. The proposed legislation in House Resolution 5136 will give us the legal tools we need to put such standards and certification into effect for the U.S. government, while the continuation of the Montreux document process will achieve the same effect internationally. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Martin. Thank you, Mark. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be